So I want to welcome my friend Ben up here. Just so you know, we're going to do about a 20-minute talk here, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll have a little bit of time to shift over to workshops. Something I want to mention about workshops is you may have already signed up for a workshop, and this talk may change your mind as to which one you want to take. If I was in your shoes and I picked my workshop, I would seriously be considering maybe switching over to a different workshop. Because Ben is one of the most talented people I know. He's also a brother in Christ and a good friend. And I've been following his journey for the last several years. In fact, I think the first time we met, when was the first time we met?
Oh boy, when was it? I think it was at a dribble event, like maybe 10 years ago.
Didn't you interview with me for an internship at one point?
No.
Oh, I thought before that. I thought I rejected you for an internship before that.
Oh, when you worked at Element, maybe I did reach out.
First time I met Ben, he came in to see if he could be an intern for me, and I was like, no, we don't have any space for you. And then we ended up connecting at a dribble event and hanging out one evening, and it was really great. And I've gotten to know him and his wife Beth quite well after that. But I'm going to just go ahead and get some of Ben's slides going. He doesn't have like a full presentation, but we're just going to kind of run some of his work above us while we talk. Do you want to sit or do you want to stand?
I can sit.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to...
Real quick, like Ellen, amazing. I don't know where you are now. Where are you? Yes, amazing talk. You got me so jacked up. I want to like climb a mountain and like punch a bear. I'm jacked right now, so thank you very much. A lot of our talk is going to be overlap, so I really appreciate you got everybody warmed up, and that's really tough to follow, but thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about who you are. Who is Ben Stafford?
I'm a trained graphic designer, illustrator. Went to school for it, got my bachelor's degree in it, worked at an agency for a while, and then I actually started my own studio with my wife Beth, who's also a designer. Who also has a book back there? I got you, Alan. So we've been doing that for quite a long time. So we have a daughter who's 9.5. Her name's Rue, and she's kind of grown up in our house while we've been running a business. And I've got agency experience, but also running our own business.
Very cool. So when I asked you if you wanted to talk today, you said we kind of decided we'd do a little bit of a Q&A, but I know these last few years have been pivotal for you. There's probably a lot of people in here who may be at a place in their career, in their lives, where they're like, what's next, right? Yours kind of came out of nowhere in some ways. And so you asked me to title our discussion today, Peace Be the Journey. And I'm kind of interested in this journey. I'm privy to it, but unpack that a little bit for the folks here.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know the line, it's from a great movie called Cool Runnings. Okay, great 90s film. I love the 90s. Peace be the journey. I do want to talk about my journey, talk a little bit about most everybody kind of lives in seasons, right? Sometimes we're on a high, sometimes we're on a low. And yeah, my journey has been like this. So peaceful moments and then immediately following like low, not peaceful moments at all. I don't know what year I came and spoke on the Joy Venture podcast with Beth, you and Thad. We were talking, and I had been talking about the past 5 years of my illustration and design career and how I very quickly, and I don't say this to brag, I met goals. I met all the goals that I had set out for myself in my career, and I felt like I was like plateauing, like what else is there to do? And so I just knew there was something bigger, something better, something more fulfilling for me to do, but I didn't quite know what that was. And I know I brought that up on the podcast, like, hey man, I'm just listening for God's voice and wondering what that could be. So I sat and I waited. In the very beginning of 2019, I started working for an agency again. So I left our business to go work at an agency, thinking that was the next big thing. It was quite an honor to work at this agency. I felt like it was the best thing for me at the time to be on a team. I'm an encourager by nature. I feel like that is a gift from God that He has given me. I love encouraging, like that's my superpower. And so I thought if I could work on a team again and I could build the team up and be the encourager and work alongside and like strengthen everybody, then that would be a good fit. Midway through that 2019 year, I had my very first panic attack. Anxiety. Never happened to me before, came out of nowhere. I was in church for a morning service, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, what is this feeling? This is crazy. And so that was very unnerving. And I felt like a lot of it was stress and things like that from job, and made me very uncomfortable. And so those next 6-ish months, I was just thinking like, is this job related? Is this just some other factors? Do I need to reconsider things? But during that journey of thoughtful exploration, I was just thinking like, at Making Midwest, how many people have been to Making Midwest events? They had a conference a few years ago, and I remember speaking at that event. And in that talk, it's recorded, this is a quote, I said, if I wasn't a designer, and if I didn't have to go back to school or pay money for school, I would be a teacher. And so those were two hurdles that I never thought I could get over. But during this 6 months time of anxiety and not feeling very fulfilled at this job, I thought, well, what if I did spend the money? What if I could scrounge up enough money to go back to school? What if I did go back to school, which I hate school as a student, not very good at it. At least that's what I thought. That's what I told myself.
Feel that?
Yeah. Hey, I graduated high school a year early because I didn't like it. I had enough credits and I'm like, I'm out of here. So that's how much I didn't like it. So I really struggled with the idea of going back to a place I knew I probably wasn't a good fit at. And so if I could get over those two hurdles, cash, going back to school, could I be a teacher? Could I influence students? Could I be more fulfilled in my job? Could I give back to the community? Could I be someone for somebody that somebody was for me? I had 1 year of high school art and art 1 level. And those art teachers and that art room changed my life. 1 year. And they made that a safe space. So I was thinking, could I do the same thing for somebody else? To quote another great 90s movie, Hook, what would the world be like without Captain Hook? And I thought, yeah, odd reference, but yeah, you get it. What would the world be like without Mr. Stafford, the art teacher? And I started to think about that. Is it worth it? Is this really something that I would enjoy? And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm determined to do that. And so, yeah, I'm working at this agency. It's Christmas break. They go on a little 2-week vacation. I get kind of down and dirty with these thoughts, and I'm like, yeah, I need to talk to Jeremy. I need to talk to Thad, really just kind of parse this out. I met with you guys for lunch, and I said, this is the kind of journey that I'm thinking I'm going to go on, and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. So I went back after Christmas vacation. I told my boss, I said, hey, I think I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving on bad terms. I just want to go do something else completely. And so I told him I was going back to school. And so I said, let me just finish up the clients that I have now. I've got January, February, March. I'll finish those clients up. My last day will be March 13th. I gave him that date, March 13th. March 13th, 2020, the day Donald Trump declared national emergency. So as I was saying goodbye on Zoom to all my friends, and they were all watching this conference, and it was a very life-changing day, because I thought, here I am, I'm going to pursue my new thing, and then the world shut down. And that was just heart-wrenching to be like, oh, this new thing that I was going to do, this is positive, right? No, the whole world is negative. And so this whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve, that lasted a lot longer than 2 weeks, really kind of made me super introspective. I'm kind of sad, I'm lonely. We were all supposed to be staying in our homes. And here I am thinking, am I going to be a good art teacher? Do I even know art? What am I doing? I'm changing careers? What? And so in that moment, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be asking me questions. Am I okay?
This is perfect.
Okay. I was just thinking
That's what I was hoping for.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I was like, I've never tried collage before. We've got the time, I've got the magazines, I've got some X-Acto blades and some glue. So I just went down to my basement on my ping pong table, and I just started laying stuff out and making. And the idea was I was never going to show these to anybody. This was me conquering some fears that I had to be like, are you even a good artist? Can you do this? And so I made one day, and then the next day I went down there again and made another. And I did this, I think, consecutively for 12 days during this time. And I actually liked the stuff that I was making. And here, because I had been a designer for 15 years, I was like, oh, I'm implementing design, same kind of compositional stuff. I'll talk about that later in my workshop. But It was a design type collage. Yes, there's art to it, but it was a design collage. And so I actually liked the stuff that I was making. So I started posting them. And I got a really positive reaction from it. So much so that while I was going through schooling, clients would contact me, not for design work anymore, not for logos or branding or illustration work, but for collages. And I had to rethink my entire structure. I'm like, oh, I guess I can change my website to be collage focused and maybe some illustration stuff on the side, but if this is what people want, this is what they're gonna get. So I just kept making more and more collages. So that did kind of reassure that this was the right path. So during school, I studied, but then I started student teaching last year at a middle school. And during this time, I'm thinking like, middle school, I just got to get through this student teaching experience. I want to teach high school. They're higher level thinkers. And God smiled, and I ended up loving it. Like middle school, those kids were fantastic. And I love my student teaching experience so much, the school actually hired me for the rest of the year. They had another teacher who had to leave for medical reasons, so I filled in and got to teach those students the rest of the year.
If you've been called to work with middle schoolers, that is a calling. I hated myself as a middle schooler, much less having to teach a bunch of kids. Yeah. And all 5 years of high school for me were horrible too. So, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. But when I look back at that and I think there's something I was dreading, it turned out to be amazing. I remember my junior high years. Those were my favorite years. That was before I thought, oh, I'm not that smart, or at least that's what I told myself. But here they offered me that job and they actually said, hey, Ben, we have this really great idea. We really want to turn this integrated technology program into more design focused. We want to take your strengths, build this whole program around you. And I'm like, yes, here we go. And then a few months after that, they said, well, actually, we've had some admin issues. We actually need to hire somebody else for a different role. But because we need to hire and create a new role, you're the first cut. And so, heartbroken, I had to leave those kids that I had invested so much time and energy in and developed great relationships with, and I had to say goodbye. And that was incredibly hard because I thought this was a really great place for me. And here I thought, God's providing. He's even given me this gift of the amazing school, amazing administration. I love these kids. I love the people I work with. To nothing. And so a whole lot of this roller coaster motion. Soon after that, I applied for a job at another local school. I went in. I applied for the job online. That day, they called me about 5 o'clock and they said, can you come in for an interview tomorrow? I went in for the interview the next day. And then the following day, they offered me the job. So it was very, very quick. I felt like I was proposing to a girl on a first date. Like, okay. And so, yes, I got a job. And I was so excited. This is the thing. And hey, I've got all summer now. I can start preparing all my lessons. This is going to be awesome. And then I have some spinal issues in May. Incredible pain, worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Nerve pain. Do emergency surgery down here in Riverside. So that's what the little mark here is on my neck. Spinal surgery this past June. 6 weeks of recovery. So no, I did not plan any of my lessons. So again, here I thought I was on a high and now I was at a low. So yeah, we're kind of in this middle of, hopefully we're going back up on the roller coaster, right, gang? All right, I guess this way. So I'm at this new school now. I'm getting to know these students. I'm getting to invest my time, and I'm getting to encourage. And that is really what I love about teaching. I get to call students to my desk and have these conversations to be like, hey, has anybody ever told you how awesome you are? Like, this is phenomenal. I called a kid's mom yesterday, and I said, just to let you know, I'll call him Billy. I say, hey, Billy's doing awesome. And he did this assignment. He turned it in a day late, but it's actually the best in the whole class. And I wanted you to know. And she was all surprised and thrilled. And I said, I don't want to take up any of your time. Just wanted to tell you. And just those little moments, I think, while small, they will have a great impact over time. And so developing these relationships now, I think, is going to impact these students, hopefully for a lifetime. Like, I'm honored to be their art teacher, that years from now they can look back on and be like, yeah, I remember Mr. Stafford. He was encouraging me to do this, and I pursued this creative field because he said I was good at it. Like, wow. What an honor that is. So I know I've only got a few minutes left, but really the whole moral to my journey that I'm still on is God is in control and he's good. He is good and he is in control. Like if that's the only thing you take from this whole talk, awesome. So, yeah, that's basically my journey so far.
See, Ben wouldn't commit to coming up here and just doing a talk, so I conned him into it. I said, how about if we make it a Q&A? So I just ask a question, I hand him the mic, he did a talk, which is, it worked, success. We only do have another minute. Do you mind sharing the story that you shared with me about a young man in your class?
Yeah, back to the encouraging part. I saw a student who had been kind of done with their project and they were doodling on the side, little illustrations. And I said, hey, come see me after class. He says, am I in trouble? I said, no, nothing like that, just come see me. So he comes to my desk and I put a couple folders up so no other student can hear me, but I said, has anybody ever told you how amazing you are at this? He says, no. I said, these illustrations of these little cartoon people, I said, are those from like a comic book or a TV show? He goes, no, I just made them up. And they are the like super most consistent style. Like that's the stuff we dream about as illustrators, to have our own style. He's in 6th grade and he's got it. I said, my friends would kill for this style. Like this is amazing. I said, keep doing it. I said, do you have any art supplies? He said, no. I said, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to get you a sketchbook. We'll be fine. So I give him a sketchbook and some pens. And a mutual friend of ours, Doc Reed, actually bought him some art supplies too. And so here I get to give him a pencil supply or a pencil case, art pencils, kneaded eraser, maybe a few other things, sharpener, sketchbook. I said, just go wild. Fill this whole thing up. And I get to give a talk about graphic design to my class and illustration. And then he became obsessed with it. Like, I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to be an illustrator. And I got to do a mock interview with my principal at the school, or at least I thought it was. And he's asking me all these questions, like, what's the coolest thing that's happened to you so far? And I told him the story about Austin. I said, this is awesome. I love this thing. He's super encouraged now, and he's really digging this. And he's, my principal's shuffling through some papers, and he picks one out, and he goes, let me just share something with you. And he reads an English assignment that had written about me and about his love for art and how he wants to be a designer and illustrator and how he's got all these new supplies that he can work with, and he's a different kid now. Like, amazing. Just that one conversation. And yeah, a few little free gifts here and there too, but like I think he's gonna have a solid career. He's already awesome. So, yeah.
This is why I love Ben. Can you see why? So do we have any questions? I think we might be able to take a question or two. Let's see. I haven't seen any pop in here. If you want to just raise your hand. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone have a question for Ben? You know you do.
If not, I'll be around.
I see some people drying their eyes. Yeah.
What does the creative process look like for one of these ones?
Come to my workshop.
Seriously,
I paid him $5 to say that.
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious when I say this, and I don't mean to shortchange the workshops today. My workshop that Beth and I are doing is available online to watch. Ben's is not. If you are into doing crafty things and you want to just kind of cut with scissors and play a little bit, and you've already signed up for ours, feel free to just be like, peace, I'm out, and head over to do Ben's today. I would take it if it was up to me. But that being said, Beth and I are excited. Yeah. I'll just, you know what, Beth, you just take our workshop and I'll just go, no. There's good stuff for both. But I just want to say, thank you to Ben. And I hope that it encourages you as you look at your career, you look at your career, you look at your giftings. And Ellen said it better even than I could ever say. Not better than Ben could. No, better than I could ever say as well. And that is, it's that thing inside you, right? It's that thing that God's calling you to. Let it out. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? Let it out. Put it out there. I can't tell you how many times, even in my life, I've just had something I put in my sketchbook, and I just put it out there, and I just share it. And looking around the room, I see a lot of you that are sharers of your work. and it encourages me. I follow a lot of you on social media. I see a lot of the work that you guys are doing, and God's calling in our lives is to make this world a more beautiful place. It's to encourage each other through the gifts that He's given us. So I just want to say thanks to Ben for sharing that with us.